This is the new Toyota Yaris Cross, and it's a little bit like extending your small house to make it more accommodating for your growing family. You see, underneath the skin, it shares most of its parts with the normal Yaris, but they've fitted some bigger body panels, jacked it up to make it more roomy inside, yet still smaller than the RAV4, so it's just easier to manoeuvre around town and to park. And in this video, I'm going to talk you around the exterior design, the interior. I'm going to see how practical this car is, try out some of its technology, and of course, take it for a drive to see if it's any good. Anyway, I'm Matt Watson, and you're watching CarWow.
Buying a new car? Then head to CarWow, and my team will help you find your next car at a fair price. CarWow, your one-stop car buying comparison site.
Let's start this video by talking about the design of the Yaris Cross. So basically, Toyota have taken the design elements of the normal Yaris and just like pumped them up a bit, such as this rear light design. Looks really cool. Not so sure about this big area of black plastic cladding. At least Toyota hasn't been tempted to give it some fake exhaust, and it's just being honest about this normal old-fashioned pea shooter exhaust. Now, if you have a top of the range car, you actually get some silver bit of trim down here which livens up that part of the car. It's not too bad really though. From the side, really like the look of this car. So alloy wheels start at 16 inches. These are the 18s, and really you do need the 18s on this car. I do like the sculpturiness of the bodywork. It gives the car some stance, and you've got Yaris Cross written down there, the black side skirts to make it look tough and off-roady. All but the entry-level model get roof bars, though the roof bars don't actually stand out that much. Now moving to the front, this car has a proper face. It sort of looks a little bit like a robot. Now, depending on which model you go for, the front can look slightly different. So the entry-level car doesn't have the daytime running lights, whereas the top of the range has extra cladding round here. Now, talking about price, this car starts from £22,500, and if you're thinking about buying a Yaris Cross, or any car for that matter, you want to make sure that you're getting a fair price for it. And you can check out all the latest new car offers through CarWow, and you can do that by clicking on the pop-out banner there, following the link in the description below. Also, if you're thinking about buying a new car, you're probably having to sell your old car, and you can now sell your car through CarWow as well. Just upload some photos, a brief description, and our dealers will bid on your car, so you'll get a great price for it. No hassle at all. Now, if you want to do that at a later date, simply Google "Wow me CarWow" and we will wow you. The interior design of the Yaris Cross is very similar to the normal Yaris. It's quite a nice, interesting design. I like the fact that you get squidgy materials here on the dash, makes it look expensive. You do get harder plastics up here, but they're textured, and you get some fabric on the doors, which is pretty nice. Overall quality is pretty decent for a car in this category. There's a bit of wobblage on the centre console, but I shouldn't worry about this car being screwed together badly because it's a Toyota. They're solid. It will stand the test of time, I'm pretty sure. One thing you do notice compared to the normal Yaris is that you sit higher, obviously because it's jacked up slightly. You can raise your seat if you want to go even higher, lower it down a bit, and there's plenty of adjustment in the steering wheel. And I think the seating position is pretty good. The infotainment system, you get a standard is this screen here. It's got Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, which you connect via a wire. The graphics are a little bit dull. The screen's not the most responsive, but you know, if you're running your phone, it doesn't matter, it does the job. The digital driver's display is clear enough, though you do actually have some analog dials for things like your fuel level, your temperature, and your rev counter eco gauge, but your speedo is digital. It's fine. In terms of practicality, well, the door bins are big enough to take a flask. Unfortunately, these cup holders aren't big enough for like a coffee cup, but they will fit bottles. And there is a glove box, which is just an okay size. There's a tray here where you can put your mobile phone. Unfortunately, there's no wireless charging though. Let's check out the back seats of the Yaris Cross, and the first thing to notice is that the doors here in the back don't open that wide. So if you're large, also known as fat, you're going to struggle to get in. You have to pour yourself into the car. Now, once you're in the back, knee room's all right, headroom's pretty good. Actually, people over 6 foot will just about have enough headroom, though they may struggle. They've got long legs for knee room. A Peugeot 2008 has a bit more knee room, and if you want to see my full in-depth video review of that car, click on the pop-out banner up there for the link in the description below. Other things to note is that if you want to carry 3 people in the back at once, it really is a squeeze because it's got quite a narrow body. Remember, it's a Yaris, even though it's a Cross Yaris. And you might be cross, but there's a little bit of a hump in the floor there because it does eat into the old foot space for the person who does get the horrible middle seat. Other things you need to know about the rear of this car. Look, so, oh, come on, do it. You get through loading. Look, you got 3-way split folding seats, and there is a selection of cup holders here. Now, this is kind of weird because it's not really an armrest, it's just the seat back, but I guess it kind of works. It's a sort of solution. Must say, I do like the seats in this car, both the seats in the front and here in the back with the textured pattern on them. They are quite cool, and the seat base is quite deep as well, which is good. You have some door bins here, but they're not huge, but you can still fit a flask, look, just about. We've also got some storage here on the seat backs. Now, when it comes to fitting a baby seat, the good news is that you've got flip-off Isofix anchor cover points, which are very easy to get to. However, that narrow door opening does make it a bit hard to just manoeuvre a seat in. Also, you have to push the front passenger seat forward a bit to be able to actually fit a bulky rear-facing seat. Now, when you do that, the person in the front does have a little less knee room. It's not terrible, but it's not perfect. Now, let's check out the boot. So, high-spec models get an electrically operated tailgate. Oh, yay! Now the boot itself, it's a decent enough size. It's 397 litres. However, it's still smaller than its key competitors like the Renault Captur, the Ford Puma and the Volkswagen T-Cross. Also, you might be noticing this. What are these ledges for? That's because high-spec cars get an adjustable false floor. I'm just going to get the panels, because if you have the front-wheel drive model, then the panels are split like this, which in some ways seems good, because then you can, like, you know, have something there and then cover this area, or vice versa. But then in other ways it's not good, because really, do you need that functionality? And if you want to get under here, then you, oh, I've got to pick it up with both hands, then how can I operate whatever I need to do to get in? I'm not sure it's a great idea. Anyway, one good thing about this false floor is that when you fold down the rear seats, then it means that you do have a continuous load floor, so it's easier to slide things to the front, and it also reduces the load lip as well. In fact, then there really isn't one, so it's easy to just slide things in and out the boot. Other functionality you've got here is, look, you've got some tie down points, quite sturdy, and look, a 12-volt socket as well. One slight word of warning: if you go for the four-wheel drive version of this car, its boot is actually small. It's smaller by over 70 litres because of the different rear suspension and four-wheel drive system. And that brings on to 5 annoying things about the Toyota Yaris Cross. Bizarrely, there is only one USB port on this car. It's there. Now, if your front passenger wants to connect their device to charge it, they're going to have to charge it the old-fashioned way with the 12-volt socket. And as for the kids in the back and their devices, there's no USB at all for them, so you better buy some power banks, eh? The rear doors are really lightweight. The problem with that is that when kids get out and they shut it like that, it doesn't shut properly. You know, you can just imagine the kids going to popping out, no, I'm off. And then you have to get out the car and shut it like an adult. If you put a bottle in the cup holder there, then you think, oh, do you know what, I want to use the armrest. And then you want to get your bottle later on, then it's like, yeah, it's underneath the armrest. It's a bit annoying. While visibility dead ahead of the driver is good, it's not so good to the centre of the windscreen, because you've got such a big rear view mirror, and then you get this little letterbox effect between the bottom of the rear view mirror and the top of the dash. On most cars, the fuel filler cap is unlocked if the car is unlocked, but not on this Toyota Yaris. You have to release it using a lever inside the cabin. It's not a problem if you own the car and it's the only one you drive, but if you have two in your household, you'll forget about this, and then you'll get to the petrol station, get the fuel pump out and try to fill up, and then you realise you have to go back inside your car and release it that way, and it does your head in. It's not all negative though. Here's 5 good things about this car. I really like Toyota's simple solution for the load cover. It's just a flimsy bit of fabric, but it does the job, unless of course you like to put tissues on your parcel shelf. Who does that really though, eh? The good thing about this though is, look, you can just lay it quite easily in the boot like that. See? It takes up no space, so you don't have to worry about taking it out of the car or storing it somewhere. The underfloor of this car is sealed so that you get reduced drag and better aerodynamics, and therefore improved efficiency, which is important on a hybrid. The hybrid system on this car, so the battery and the motor, only add 27 kilos to the weight as if it didn't have a hybrid system, which is pretty good considering it gives you better efficiency. Also, even though it's not an actual plug-in hybrid, it's just a self-charging hybrid, as Toyota likes to call it, it can actually run on EV power alone at just over 80 miles an hour, though it won't run on EV power alone at that speed for very long. Unlike the Peugeot 2008, the VW T-Cross or the Renault Captur, you can get this car with four-wheel drive. And the four-wheel drive version has a limited slip differential on the rear axle for improved off-road capability. It also has upgraded independent rear suspension. Yeah. Unlike many small cars, where the seatbelt often snags behind the seats when you put them back, the way these are located, don't at all. Look, no problem, no worries, no stress. I'm cool with that. Now let's talk about engines. Actually, it should just be engine because there is just one with this car. It's a 1.5 litre, 3-cylinder, naturally aspirated petrol engine that's mated to an electric motor, and you have combined 114 horsepower and 120 newton meters of torque. Now, if you're thinking about buying a Toyota Yaris Cross, all you really need to do is pick your ideal trim level. So what I've done is gone onto the carwow configurator and built my perfect Yaris Cross. If you want to find out what that is and the offers available on it, click on the pop-out banner up there or follow the link in the description below. Now let's see what this Toyota Yaris Cross is like to drive, and I'm going to start off in an area that isn't really what you'd think is its natural environment, a twisty road. You see, what's a bit unusual about this car is that it's surprisingly good fun to drive for a small SUV. It's not quite as sporty feeling as a Ford Puma, but it's definitely more engaging than a VW T-Cross or Skoda Kamiq. Steering's quite sharp as well, and there's plenty of grip. And if it's snowing and you've got the four-wheel drive version, you've also got lots of traction. Well, so long as you've got winter tyres on. Now we're in the Yaris Cross's natural environment. It is the town. So what I'm going to do is put it into EV mode, and it'll allow me to just drive around on electric power alone. And it's silent. However, if you do accelerate hard, there, it deactivates EV mode and the petrol motor kicks in. It's relatively smooth how it does that. And when you're driving along, what you can do is actually put your car into B mode, and then it increases the regen braking for putting energy back into the battery. So you lift off the accelerator and it slows more steadily than a standard automatic car would do. Now, you don't get full on one pedal driving, so it won't bring you to a complete halt, and the slowdown isn't that aggressive, but it does give you a little bit more control. Speaking of control, the brakes aren't grabby like they are on some other hybrids. They're nice and smooth, so you don't end up accidentally headbutting the steering wheel because you prodded them too hard. What's not so good though is the turning circle. It's 11.2 meters, which isn't dreadful, but it's definitely a little bit more than some other small SUVs. Hopefully I can make it around this mini roundabout. I'm not sure whether I'm going to actually. I'm going to have to mount this curb. What's the alloy? I just made it. Will I make it around this way as well? Oh, yeah, just about. Here we go. Not the best turning circle, but it's not terrible, and the car is quite small and compact, so when you're moving even around town you can thread it through gaps in traffic. Also, the raised driving position helps, and you got a good view out the back window, and the door mirrors are nice and big as well. The steering's light too, which is good, and it's quite responsive as well, so you can like dart through traffic. I say dart, this is not the fastest car in the world, but because you've got the assistance of that electric motor, when you first put your foot down, it does pick up all right. Speaking of which, when you're going faster, this car is generally pretty decent. However, you do get a bit of wind noise, and you do notice tyre noise a bit more than you would do in a Peugeot 2008. Another thing you notice is the fact that over rough surfaces, the suspension can seem a little bit fidgety at times. It's not uncomfortable, but it's a little bit firmer than you might expect from this kind of car. The last thing for me to mention is the economy, because this car is averaging 50 miles per gallon. And that's one of the reasons why I have a hybrid, really. They'll give you good economy. Overall though, it's pretty good to drive. So then, what's our final verdict on the new Toyota Yaris Cross? Should you avoid it? Should you consider it? Should you shortlist it, or should you just go right ahead and buy it? Well, I reckon you should shortlist the Yaris Cross. It's not the most spacious small SUV, but it looks good, it's good to drive, and it's very economical. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please give it a like, it does help us. And if you haven't done so already, make sure you subscribe to this channel. Now, in the pinned comment below, I want you to vote whether you'd rather have this Toyota Yaris Cross or Peugeot 2008. Now, if you want to watch some other videos, click there, and if you click on that box there, you can go to carwow and you can sell your car through us. Our dealers will bid on your car.